and just shows how overwhelmed we were with the donations and everything that came in and how piled up it was in our space. And some of us unloading trucks even, and there's even one in there of me rubbing somebody's butt. We had some very long days. First of all, I want to say that Advantage Home Care, we started in 2011, so the June floods were not our first go-round with dealing with disaster. In June 2012, when the derecho hit, that's when we remember when a lot of counties went without electricity, telephones, water, right down to some people ran out of food, had to get the rations when the National Guard brought in the rations and things like that. And because the banking systems, if they didn't have electricity and generators and such, we didn't have money. I'm not a person who writes checks. I swipe my debit card, so it was a hardship for myself and a lot of other people in my situation to go and buy, once the stores were open, to go and buy the things that my family and I needed. What we did during that time is our office was essentially closed down because we had no electricity, no other utilities, so we weren't able to go in and staff our office. The people who work there, we have a small team of 5 people. We all live in different corners of Clay County, so what we did was each of us went out to the clients and caregivers' homes and such near our home, and we checked on them, seeing what we could do for them and things like that. As we came through town, we stopped in and we left notes for the other workers so that they would be on the same page as us and know how everyone was doing. That's how we handled that disaster, and we thought, well, that worked out okay. After the fact, once everything was settled down, then we sat down together and we said, well, it's important to know a little bit more information about our clients. Is the informal somebody right there with them? Because during that time, a lot of the roads were blocked. So if their informal lived in the next county or even 5 miles down the road, they may not have been able to get to their loved ones. So if our caregivers couldn't get to that client, then their emergency backup plan says informal. Well, if you have an elderly person sitting there with no electricity, no AC, and 90-degree plus heat, nobody can get to them, and they may be forgotten about for a little while, and that can be very dangerous. So we took note of, was their informal actually available close to them, or was it someone down the road that may not be able to get to them? Did they have generators? Which ones did we have to worry about if they had oxygen or another health condition that they needed that electricity and things like that? So we thought, well, how easily, can we get them the help they need and things like that? Well, then the June 23rd floods came. The first 24 hours, we really was in a state of shock. It happened on a Thursday evening, and I know that we knew there was a storm coming, a really bad storm, and my husband called and said, you need to come home because we live across, you have to cross several creeks, and he said, you better come home, the creeks are gonna rise. So I said, okay, I'll be there in a little bit. Well, that little bit was 4 days later, because one of the pictures, this is the one actually, this is the only road into my home, and that is a little 2-inch deep creek most of the time. There's a bridge where the water's white. There's a concrete low water bridge there that's completely gone. But beyond that, there is, it was washed out really badly. You could lose a car on either side of that. And then that dumpster in the middle of the picture, it eventually, water went well above this level because it washed that dumpster completely away. So I couldn't get home that night. I ended up, I planned on going to a motel or hotel somewhere, went to every corner of the county and couldn't get out. There was blocked everywhere with downed trees, mudslides, and high water. So I ended up going and staying with a friend of mine that night. And the next morning, we came into the office and no electricity. We did have phones, and we sat on the street. It was a payday Friday, so we sat outside our doors on the street and we dispersed the paychecks. And as the caregivers came in, they started sharing their stories about what it looked like near their homes, and if they'd been to their client's home. They told us how things were going out in different areas. And we attempted to reach our members, but a lot of them we couldn't get through to because we may have had phone service in town, but in the surrounding areas where our clients were, a lot of those lines were down. Now, keep in mind, EMS, as an average, is about 1% of the population. That's your fire, your emergency services, emergency first responders, things like that. With 10,000 people in Clay County, that number is a lot smaller. So when things like this happen, it's up to us to help out. They can go out and rescue the people that needs rescued, but they can't take care of all those needs. So there was a lot of people that slipped through the cracks. I talked to the Department of Highways during the first couple weeks, and there was a couple of veteran workers who had been there upwards of 20 years, and they told me that they had been discovering roads that weren't on any map. They didn't even know was there. They were going out and clearing and finding families that were stranded for up to 2 weeks afterwards. And then there was people who went in on horseback and located some people that were stranded. So it was neighbors helping neighbors a lot of times. We found out that we had one client who lived in an outbuilding beside of her home for 3 days without plumbing. She was actually like a grandmother to me, and I begged her to come to Advantage Home Care, and I would stay there with her if she would just come, and she wouldn't. She wanted to stay right there with her puppy dog and wouldn't leave her home. She was afraid of what would happen if she did, and it took 3 days for her daughter to get from Florida to get her to take her home with her, and she ended up not being able to return home because of the damage to her house. And we had a couple caregivers that were significantly impacted by the flood as well. One caregiver, she was actually a renter. Her home was swept away. She had to locate new housing. And then another caregiver, and there's a picture in here, but I'm not sure where, but her home had 4 foot of water in the first floor. But it was a farmhouse that had been in her family for several generations. It was over 100 years old. So they demoed the inside and rebuilt. But those were the ones that was the most significantly impacted that was associated with our agency. Luckily, there weren't more. During that first week, our agency was contacted by a DJ from Spirit FM, which is a little station based out of Fayetteville, and they asked if we would be interested in being a distribution center. Now, our company is housed in a building. We have a building leased that we have some offices in the back, and that's where we work out of. And then we have, the front of our building is a room about the size of this one, and it's about 3,000 square feet or so, that we use for fundraising, yard sales, and things like that. One of my partners has a charity called Love, Faith, and Hope, and she helps the community out through various ways through fundraising. So she had a yard sale going in that at the time, and right after the flood, we opened the doors to that and said, anybody that needs anything, come in and get it. Well, when we were contacted by the Spirit FM, we said, sure, absolutely, we'll do whatever we can do. So they put our name out there on the radio as we would accept donations, and the trucks started rolling in. Also, about that same time, we were contacted by the director of Clay County EMS, and they said they were being swamped. They didn't have the manpower to handle the calls or coordinate enough volunteer efforts, and they wanted to know if we would handle that, since we were already serving as a distribution center. So that's what we did. We said sure. Didn't know what we were getting into, but we did. Immediately, our phones rang off the hook. We couldn't keep up. People from all over West Virginia, all over the country, were calling, wanting to come help with the volunteer cleanup efforts. They would call and tell us, me and my group of might have been 5, might have been 15, can come, and this is what we can do. They would tell us what their skill set was. And then we were also receiving calls from individuals who were either out in the field working on the cleanup efforts, or families who needed their home, help with their home. They would call us and we would take a referral. We would take their information down, and then when we would get the volunteer calls, we would try to match those up. It was an overwhelming task. It was very hard. We are a very small agency. We have 5 office staff workers, including myself. So to man a distribution center, to handle the volunteer calls, to take the referrals, wow. We didn't, like I said, we didn't know what we were getting into. Every day, we cried from just being overwhelmed, from exhaustion. We were putting in 14 to 16-hour days, 7 days a week for about the first month. We felt guilty when we'd go home at night for closing the door because we were afraid that another person would come to the door and need food. Or the next story, because every family just about that came in, we would sit down and talk to, they had a story that just, it touched your heart. They lost their home that they'd lived in for 30 years, or they had no place to go. Maybe there was many times that families with 4 or 5 children, or several generations, would go and move in with another part of their family, again, with many children or several generations. So you had 15 and 20 people squeezing into a little home. Or there was a couple who, they lost their home and they were living under a carport. There were people living in tents. There was a tent city in Beaumont, an entire neighborhood. Their homes were all damaged and they weren't able to be there. Okay, sorry. During this time, trucks came constantly, every other vehicle coming down the street, either pulled a trailer or was loaded, and would come to our front doors and we would unload them. All the way from just the back seat of an SUV to the back of pickups to semi-truck trailers, constantly. And when we started this, we didn't even have a dolly to our name. We did it by hand. At one time we had something like 3,000 cases of Girl Scout cookies. Oh. I know. When you're unloading a mess. It was a never-ending barrage of supplies coming through the door. I wanted to mention that the biggest burden, believe it or not, was clothing. Every piece of clothing, you couldn't imagine how much clothes were sent into our county. Yeah. This is a, I don't know what the building's called. They call it a barn. They have the FHA 4-H things in it, but it's huge. Originally, this clothing was in the gymnasium of Clay Elementary School, and I was in there, and it was overhead high. And way more came after that, after I was up there. They moved it to this facility, which was probably twice the size of that, and then one of my coworkers, Laura Beth, she helped organize volunteers, and she went up there and worked all evening long. After working all day at Advantage, she would go up there and work all evening long with other volunteers, sorting that clothing so that people could come in and get what they needed. And it was handed out and handed out and handed out. A lot was shipped down south because Georgia had some flooding after we did. And then eventually, some of it even ended up in Haiti. There was so many clothes. During the first 2 weeks, we didn't have Red Cross. We didn't have FEMA. Because Clay County was kind of overlooked. A lot of the effort was focused on other areas, and we hadn't even been declared an emergency area until July 2nd. On July 2nd, when we were officially declared the emergency or disaster area, that's when FEMA came in and they set up at our local high school. But still, that didn't solve the problem. We still had so many people who had barriers to getting that help. Either there were, like people on our program, a lot of them, they don't have social media. They may watch the news, but they don't understand that the help is there for them. They are scared that if someone comes into their home that it'll be deemed condemned and then they won't be able to live there. Just in shock, maybe their pride kept them from it, or too stubborn like our client who refused to leave her outbuilding beside of her house. A lot of reasons. So FEMA didn't answer the call to help a lot of these people, and we tried. Every time people would come in, we'd say, have you talked to FEMA? No, there's people a lot worse off than me. Well, you need to talk to FEMA. And we tried to reiterate that over and over again, and there was several people that did get help, but not everybody. There was a lot of stories that we'd hear later on that they missed the deadline or after FEMA pulled out. The Clay County Commission met with EMS, the local EMS, the National Guard, and other agencies that were involved in the cleanup efforts and other individuals to try to coordinate efforts in our area. We did meet with them as well. The problem was, everybody has emergency plans. All of these organizations, they have it on their books. We had one. But unless they're tested, unless they're practiced, they don't work. And the county commission had one, EMS might have had one, everybody had a different one. So coming together, it didn't mesh so well. It was really difficult. Basically, too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Everybody had ideas about how it should go, but it led to a lot of chaos. Finally, at the end of about 2 weeks, we had a meeting with Homeland Security, and I was a little leery. I was like, what in the world is Homeland Security doing here? And what it was, I didn't know this, so I was doing some internet research, but Homeland Security, that agency was formed after the September 11th attacks, and they absorbed FEMA. So when you hear Homeland Security, it's actually FEMA. FEMA's part of it. So we met with them, and Senator John Ungar was a big part of the coordination efforts, and then representatives from VOAD. VOAD is the Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster, and also another one is Sheepdogs, again along the same lines as VOAD, and this one I cannot pronounce very well. It's Nakima. It's the Jewish Response Team to Disaster, and also Volunteer West Virginia. We met with all of those agencies, and what they said was, we know you're overwhelmed. We know this is not an easy thing. Let us help you. This is what our job is to work with the volunteers and the resources and help these people. So we said, absolutely, you know what you're doing, here you go. And we handed them our referrals, the people that had called us, and they were announced as handling the volunteer coordination efforts. So all that went to them after that. They set up at the high school next to FEMA. And what we didn't understand was people had called us and they knew us. They knew us as the agency that, through my partner's local charity, Love, Faith, and Hope, we help out in all sorts of situations. We do the fundraisers and things like that. And give us a call. We'll probably try to help you out in some way if there's something going on. Well, they called us and they told us they needed help, and before the other agencies took over, we sent those volunteer teams out, and there were several homes that we helped get cleaned up. Once the other agencies took over, we didn't understand that they handle what's called the muck and guts. They go out and they tear out the insulation or they tear out the walls, and then they leave. Their job's over. Well, those people will call and say, you said you would help us. And they thought that we were leaving them as Advantage Home Care, high and dry. And we were like, oh no. And also, a lot of the volunteers that had been to us before the Volunteer West Virginia took over and the VOAD took over, they called or came back to us and said, they're turning us away. We go there and they said they don't have anywhere for us to go. Is it all done? And we're like, oh goodness, no. We're getting on telephone calls that people need help. And so what it was is these organizations, the Sheepdogs and the VOAD and these people, they put it into the system called the Crisis Cleanup Database. And once that order is picked out of that system by the Sheepdogs or VOAD or whichever one gets that order for the help, then it's not available to anybody else. So if they go out and they do one part of it, it's gone. That referral is gone. So then people were left still without a home to live in and a lot of the cleanup not done. Anyway, we continued with our efforts, and it was overwhelming. I mean, it wasn't easy. And I said at the end of the last one, and I think all my friends that are here with me today at my agency wanted to kick me for saying I would never do it again. And I didn't really mean I would never do it again. We just didn't know what we were getting into. It was rewarding. It definitely had its rewards. But during the first probably week to 2 weeks, we cried every day. I mean, we just was completely overwhelmed and emotionally overwhelmed too in the work. We brought our kids to work with us, and they had, as we were unloading trucks, and I think there was even some pictures through there of some kids as young as 7, 8, 9 years old, pushing a grocery cart full of supplies that they had helped unload off the truck. So we went days and days with just going home to lay our head on our pillow and right back at it. So it was a wonderful experience. It was something like we've never done before. But it would be wonderful if we could get a better plan together. And that's what happened at the end of this is Red Cross, FEMA, Senator John Unger's office, and the governor's office began creating the long-term recovery committees. And we began this slow transition of referring everyone to those committees because that's where the grant money was going to and things like that. So they realized that this is a long process. It's not over yet. There's still a lot of people that are living in temporary housing and such. But we received and handed out donations at our center for a little over 6 months. We finally closed the doors toward the end of December and got out all the supplies at the beginning of January. In conclusion, I just want to reiterate that no plan's perfect, but you have to start somewhere. You have to have one. No plan's ever going to fit every situation with your agency, but you have to have that to start with. And then once everything's over, you sit down and you think, okay, well that didn't work so good, what can we do now? And that's where we ended up. And the experience definitely helped us. It gave us knowledge we didn't have before and we wouldn't have had. We've talked to a lot of workers who hadn't been to Katrina and things like that, and it just, we had said during that time frame when we were doing it, we couldn't wait for the next disaster so we could go help. Because there's so many people came to us, and we wanted to return that favor, and we still do. It would be something very awesome to get to go and be an angel to others that we had so many come to us. So that's all I have for you.
And I just wanted to say, there are so many of you guys that are out there in the audience right now. Crystal's not alone. We had so many providers that kept all of our clients safe, kept them alive, kept track of them, made sure that they knew where they were, made sure that they were in a safe placement. Without your efforts, we would be completely lost. I can say and stand up here now that it's all over, even though there are still some people who need a lot of help, that we didn't lose one single person to this flood that was on the Age and Disabled Waiver or the Personal Care Program. And when I say that, I mean not only to death, we didn't lose them physically. We knew where everybody was throughout the entire thing because of your efforts and what you did. And for that, I applaud you. Thank you so much.